Hi everyone, Jennifer Blevins-Smith with Integral Clinic Solutions, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Navigating the Business of Medicine. Today we're going to talk about how to evaluate your clinic financials after deductible season. We have officially entered Q2 of the new year, and that means that it is time to evaluate the clinic finances for the new year and see how you fared during deductible season. This is a perfect time to evaluate to see if the systems you put into place prior to the new year actually worked when it comes to pre-collecting on patients with high deductibles, if you decided to do that, if your front office and staff are collecting from patients with balances, etc. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to review your finances from Q1 to see if you lost revenue or if you're going to have a more successful year because of what you implemented in the first quarter. One thing I want to make a note of before we jump in is that this is not just going to be a financial assessment, but it's also to help you see if your operations are working as expected and if there are any changes or opportunities for improvement that are there that will help you be more successful during this year to avoid any costly mistakes. So first, let's understand the effects of deductible season in a practice, okay? We all know that insurances pay less when you bill them, and patients are responsible for more, which means that you have to have a very good process in place, not only detecting those patients with high deductibles, but also your staff collecting on those patient balances that are going to patient responsibility. Unfortunately, because of this kind of reverse situation than what you see at the end of most years, the deductible season can mask some challenges or some issues in the practice and operations finances early on. And so you want to make sure that you're doing some evaluations so if it is masking something, you can identify it and fix it sooner rather than later. So the first thing we need to do is a financial review, very basic financial review. And you're going to look at your total charges in Q1, and then you're going to look at your total collections at the same time period, right? So you're going to look at January 1, 2026 through March 31st, 2026, your total charges that went out on claims, and then you're going to look at your total collections, and you can also break that down and separate it into your insurance payments and your patient payments. The next thing you want to look at after you look at charges versus payments and your payments of insurance payments versus patient payments, you're going to want to look at your adjustments. What was financially removed from those charges and why? So you're going to have your contractual adjustments, the things that your insurance tells you that you have to adjust off. And then you're going to have your elected write-offs is what I call them. Your write-offs like self-pay write-offs, maybe courtesy write-offs, something was billed in error type write-offs, and you're going to want to see where those are at for the first quarter. Now, be mindful that if you're seeing a lot of elective write-offs is what I like to call them, you need to find out why, if they're high. You need to see who is giving the authorization to do those write-offs and making sure that nobody is inaccurately telling your billing people or your billing people aren't inaccurately writing things off that they don't understand. And that happens a lot too. And that can be a whole nother video, but I just wanted to mention that. If you are having high patient payments when you're reviewing this and low insurance payments, it could be because of deductible season, right? But it also could be masking some denial trends that you haven't identified. It could be that maybe an insurance payer policy changed and you're billing the same way, or a CPT code is no longer valid and you're still billing it out, or things like that. So if you're seeing lower than expected or lower insurance payments, you really need to do a little bit deeper dive to see if there's something else going on versus deductible season and it just going to patient responsibility. So if there are lower insurance payments, then you need to start looking into credentialing issues, denial trends, things like that. You also need to be checking your reimbursement rates for the same CPT codes for each payer. So is a 99214 being paid at the same rate this year as it was last year by your Blue Cross plans? Same with your new United Healthcare. You have to look at each CPT code by payer and see how your reimbursement is for them. Look at the allowed amounts versus the year prior to see if anything changed. And if you weren't expecting a change, to be contacting your payer relations representative and find out what's going on. The next thing you need to look in deeper is your accounts receivable, which is your AR and your aging of AR, right? So how do your aging buckets look? The 0 to 30, 31 to 60, 61 to 90, 91 plus, okay? How much in each of those aging buckets is still at insurance pending versus patient responsibility? And what are you doing about it? That is the big question there too. How is your aging looking from Q4 of the previous year versus your Q1 of the new year as well? How is that looking? How do they compare? Things like that. Some red flags would be increased amounts in your 60 plus and 90 plus buckets, right? You shouldn't be having high numbers in those buckets, whether it's patient or insurance. Those should be lower. Your highest AR should always be in your 0 to 30 buckets. So if your 60 plus, 90 plus buckets are high, you need to do a deeper dive, find out if there's trends. Is it a certain payer? Is it for a certain provider? Is it for a certain time period? Things like that, because there could be something deeper going on that needs to be explored further. Also, if you have a large volume of unworked claims from your billing department, whether it's in-house or you hire out for it, that's another red flag that needs to be looked into, because if there's a large volume that is showing that there are claims that need to be worked or reworked, why? What's going on that's taking them away from being able to do those timely? And what's causing those to be denied or partially denied? Next, we need to evaluate our denials and our front end failures. Like, are there failures happening at the front office where the revenue cycle starts that's affecting and causing denials downstream? The top denial reasons usually seen are authorizations or referrals are missing. Those are 1 and 2. I have a video where I'm talking about how to identify before services are rendered when possibly referrals and authorizations would be required. So that should help you as well. So take a look at that. However, you need to look at those denial reasons and eligibility issues. I have videos about that as well, but those are the top reasons from the front office that cause denials downstream. Referrals missing, authorizations missing, and patients are not eligible either with the plan that's on file or there's coordination of benefit issues. Next, we need to specifically talk about patient responsibility and collections, right? What your total outstanding patient balance is, and how much is that from the previous year that hasn't been cleaned up yet. It might be time to send those accounts to the formal collections process at a collection agency if you have attempted to collect on those and you were unsuccessful. And then you need to look at and see what's newly acquired in this new year and what you're doing about it. You need to also see what the average balance per patient is, just to give you an idea. One of my biggest points or things that I see, I should say, when it comes to patient collections is that the front office, the staff, is not comfortable collecting from patients. And to me, that is unacceptable. I made it very clear to my front office staff when I hired them that that is a major responsibility that they had. I always would try to give them resources and do role playing to help them feel more comfortable, but it's not an excuse. But you have to see if there are missed opportunities for collecting that money up front, because patients are way more likely to pay when they're in person than to send in money. It's just the way humans are. And if they feel like someone's holding them accountable, they're more likely to pay or at least pay something towards their bill. But if nobody asks about it, they may not volunteer to pay it either. So it has to be something that the front office is being proactive on, and you need to find out if that is happening. processes, processes, processes. If you don't have expectations, you don't have processes, you don't have work instructions or job descriptions that support everything that's expected in their roles, it may not happen. So it needs to be consistent between your expectations, job descriptions, workflows, processes. They all need to be including the collecting of money from patients when balances are due. If you notice that you're constantly having to send patients to collections because you have a growing AR of patient balances, or you have a low collection at time of service, these are some red flags that tells you that something needs to happen differently internally, whether it's being more clear about expectations, giving better resources to your staff, helping them feel more confident in collecting, things like that. It could be on you, it could be on them, but this is just some ways that you can identify where you need to look a little bit further and maybe change some things. Expenses and staffing review is very, very important during quarter two, because you have to look at what your staffing costs really are, like your overheads for that, versus what revenue is coming in. You need to be looking at overtime usage, and if there is a lot of overtime, why and how to prevent it. And then you need to look at your vendor costs too. New year, a lot of time vendors increase their charges. So it's time to evaluate to see if it's worth it. Doing a return on investment analysis is always recommended, but you need to look at your billing outside vendor if you're using one, software that you use, supplies that you purchase from like beginning to end. This is a good time to kind of look at stuff. Quarter one, you might be able to justify the higher costs because maybe you have a higher volume of patients, or you're expecting more money to come in, or you didn't have time in quarter four to make the adjustments and changes that you needed to or should have. But quarter two actually is when you should be focusing on efficiencies and making sure that the money you're spending is worth it. So quarter one might be your little bit of buffer or get out of jail kind of situation, but quarter two is when you really should start cracking down on efficiencies. And you want to create a quarter two action plan. So you want to identify the top 3 financial risks from quarter one, and you want to put a plan into place to, 1, stop the bleeding from the revenue leakage from there, and then 2, how to be proactive and reduce that from happening in the future. And number 3, if possible, recouping the money that wasn't collected in quarter one, if it can still be collected in quarter two, okay? Or even saving money, like changing the vendors, like we talked about. That might be an opportunity that will help you in quarter two and moving forward to be more successful and responsible with your clinic finances. Some metrics that I suggest tracking weekly is going to be your total collections and see how much is coming in from insurance and specifically for patients. You're going to want to look at your denials. That should be tracked weekly all the time. Your AR aging to see if what you've put into place hopefully does start impacting and decreasing those buckets that are older and seeing a less balance there and a higher balance in your 0 to 30. And then your patient payments overall, the process, how the front office is doing it, maybe just standing and observing from the background to see if they are collecting, things like that. Quarter two is where the real financial performance shows up from quarter one, and it allows you to hopefully make very quick decisions and changes where there's opportunities for improvement so that the rest of your year can be successful. If you have any questions or comments about this, please leave that in the comments below. Smash the thumbs up button if today's video was helpful. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And as always, please share this with anybody whom you feel would benefit. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.